"How was work today?" David asked, not looking up from his laptop as I walked through the door. "Fine," I replied, setting my purse on the counter. The same conversation we'd had every night for the past 3 years. He nodded, still typing. "I'll be working late again tonight. The Henderson account needs to be finished by Friday." I stared at his bent head, at the way his fingers moved mechanically across the keyboard. When was the last time he'd actually looked at me? Really looked at me? "Sarah called," I said, testing to see if he was listening. "She wants to know if we're coming to her dinner party this weekend." He mumbled. "Whatever you want to do." Whatever I wanted to do. If only he knew what I actually wanted. My phone buzzed. Sarah's text read, "You're so lucky to have David. Michael never helps with anything around the house." Lucky. That's what everyone said. Lucky Elena, with her stable husband, her beautiful house, her perfect life. But standing in my pristine kitchen, watching my husband work on yet another spreadsheet, I felt like I was suffocating. "I'm going out with Jessica tomorrow night," I announced. "Work thing." This time, David did look up. "That's great, honey. You should get out more." He trusted me completely. Had never questioned where I went or who I was with. Had never given me a reason to lie. Until now. "I'll probably be late," I added. "No problem. I'll probably be working anyway." Of course he would be. David was always working, always reliable, always exactly where I expected him to be. And for the first time in 10 years, I realized that predictability felt like a prison. I walked upstairs, my heart already betraying everything we'd built together. "You look amazing!" Jessica squealed, air kissing my cheek as I entered the bar. "I'm so glad you came out tonight." The music pulsed through my body, and I felt alive in a way I hadn't experienced in years. This wasn't my world. David and I preferred quiet restaurants and early nights, but tonight, I wanted to be someone different. "What can I get you?" The bartender's voice was smooth, confident. I turned to answer and froze. He was everything David wasn't. Tall, muscular, covered in intricate tattoos that disappeared beneath his black t-shirt. His smile was dangerous, like he knew secrets I'd never even imagined. "I'll have whatever she's having," he said, nodding toward my empty hands. "And put hers on my tab." "I haven't ordered yet," I stammered. "Then I guess we'll figure it out together." His eyes locked onto mine. "I'm Marcus." "Elena." My voice came out breathier than intended. "Elena," he repeated, like he was tasting my name. "Beautiful name for a beautiful woman. What do you do when you're not lighting up dive bars?" I laughed despite myself. This hardly qualifies as a dive bar. "You're right. You deserve somewhere much more expensive." He leaned closer, and I caught his scent, cologne mixed with something indefinably masculine. "What does your husband do?" My wedding ring suddenly felt heavy on my finger. "He's an accountant." Sounds boring. "He's not boring," I said automatically, but the words felt hollow. "I'm in business," Marcus said, ordering 2 whiskey shots. "Import-export. Keeps things interesting." We talked for hours. He asked about my dreams, my frustrations, things David had stopped asking about years ago. When he suggested we meet for coffee, I should have said no. "I'd like that," I heard myself say. When he leaned in to kiss me, I should have pulled away. I didn't. I stumbled through my front door at 3 a.m. to find David asleep on the couch, his laptop still open. "Did you have fun?" he mumbled sleepily. "It was boring," I lied, tasting Marcus on my lips. "We need to talk about us," David said over breakfast, his voice unusually serious. My phone buzzed with another text from Marcus. "Can't stop thinking about last night. When can I see you again? Elena, are you listening?" I looked up to find David studying my face with genuine concern. "Sorry, work stuff. What were you saying?" "I said I think we should try couples therapy. We've been drifting apart, and I want to fix that." My stomach clenched. 3 weeks of secret meetings with Marcus had made me realize how empty my marriage had become, but hearing David say it out loud still hurt. "Do you think we need fixing?" I asked. "Don't you?" David reached across the table, covering my hand with his. "When's the last time we really talked? really connected. I stared at our joined hands. David's were soft, manicured, safe. Marcus's were rough, scarred, dangerous. I made an appointment for Thursday, David continued. Dr. Reynolds comes highly recommended. Thursday? I echoed. I was supposed to meet Marcus Thursday. Is that a problem? No, I pulled my hand away. It's fine. But it wasn't fine. As David talked about communication and quality time, all I could think about was Marcus's laugh, the way he looked at me like I was the most fascinating woman alive. That night, after David fell asleep, I texted Marcus. I can't do this anymore. I need to make a choice. His response came immediately. Then choose me. Leave him. We can start fresh. I stared at the phone screen until my eyes burned. Choose Marcus. Leave everything I'd built over 10 years for a man I'd known 3 weeks. The next morning, I waited until David's car disappeared down the street. Then I packed 2 suitcases with shaking hands, my heart hammering against my ribs. The note I left on the kitchen counter was pathetic. David, I'm sorry. I can't pretend to be happy anymore. Everything. Your boring job, your boring friends, your boring husband. You dress like all of them. Boring. The criticism stung, but I told myself he was trying to help me become more confident. When Sarah called the next day, Marcus answered my phone. Elena's busy, he said without asking me first. She'll call you back. Why did you do that? I demanded after he hung up. Sarah's my best friend. Sarah's a judgmental bitch who thinks you made a mistake leaving your husband. You don't need people like that in your life. You don't even know her. I know enough. He pulled me close, his grip tight on my waist. Baby, you left your old life behind for a reason. Trust me to know what's best for you. When my boss called about working late, Marcus insisted on picking me up. Can't have my girl walking around downtown alone at night, he said, but his smile didn't reach his eyes. I was starting to realize that Marcus's protection felt a lot like control. You need to get a different job, Marcus announced over breakfast. Something that pays better. I like my job, I protested, and the pay is fine. The pay is shit, and your boss treats you like garbage. I can support us both. I don't want you to support me. I want to work. His fork clattered against his plate. Are you planning to leave me? Is that why you want to keep working? Of course not. Because if you were planning to leave, Elena, that would be a very bad idea. His voice was deadly calm. You burned your bridges for me. Your husband, your friends, your family, they all hate you now. Where exactly would you go? The truth of his words hit me like a physical blow. I had nowhere to go. That night, while Marcus showered, I opened his laptop to check my email. A news headline caught my eye. Police seek Marcus Rodriguez in connection with fraud, assault charges. My blood turned, fed to ice. The photo was definitely him, though the article said he was 35, not 30 like he'd told me. Marcus Rodriguez, wanted in 3 states. I'd been living with a criminal. When I heard the shower turn off, I quickly closed the laptop and pretended to be reading. I'm going out, Marcus said, not bothering to explain where. Don't wait up. The moment his car pulled away, I threw clothes into my suitcase with shaking hands. I grabbed what little cash I had and slipped out of the apartment like a thief. The motel I found was grimy and depressing, but it was all I could afford. For 3 days, I lived on vending machine snacks and tried to figure out what to do next. Call my parents? They were barely speaking to me. Find a job? Marcus had made me quit, and my references were probably ruined. Thursday morning, someone pounded on my door. Open up, Elena, I know you're in there. Marcus, my heart nearly stopped. You think you can just walk away from me? He screamed through the door. You ruined your marriage for me. You destroyed your reputation for me. You're nothing without me. I pressed myself against the wall, too terrified to breathe. If I can't have you, I'll make sure you have nothing left, he yelled. You hear me? Nothing. A door opened down the hall. Hey, the motel manager shouted. Get out of here before I call the cops. Marcus's footsteps retreated, but his words echoed in my head. That night, I finally swallowed my pride and dialed David's number. What do you want, Elena? David's voice was ice cold, nothing like the warm man I'd been married to. David, please, I need help. Marcus, Marcus? Your boyfriend? The disgust in his voice was palpable. What about him? He's dangerous. He's been lying about everything, and now he's threatening me. You made your choice, David interrupted. You chose him over everything we built together. I can't save you from the consequences. The line went dead. I stared at the phone, tears streaming down my face. David was right. I'd made my choice, and now I had to live with it. But Marcus wasn't done with me yet. The harassment started immediately. My phone buzzed constantly with texts. You're worthless without me. No one will ever love you like I did. You'll come crawling back. When I blocked his number, he used different phones. When I changed my number, he somehow got the new one. Then he escalated. My former boss called, confused. Elena, I had the strangest call yesterday. Someone claiming to be a private investigator said you'd been stealing from petty cash. That's not true, I said, my stomach sinking. I know it's not, but he was very convincing, had all sorts of details about your employment here. I thought you should know. The calls spread. Marcus contacted David's office, claiming to have information about my criminal activities. He sent letters to my parents, filled with lies about drug use and theft. My mother called, crying. Elena, honey, are these things true? Someone sent us photos, documents. None of it's true, Mom. It's Marcus. He's trying to destroy my life. Who's Marcus? I thought you left David for someone named Michael. Even in his lies, Marcus was thorough. When I finally found a new job at a small marketing firm, Marcus would appear in the parking lot, just sitting in his car, watching. He never approached, or technically threatened me, but the message was clear. He could get to me whenever he wanted. My new boss, Rachel, was sympathetic but worried. Elena, I like you, but if this continues, I'll have to let you go. I can't have this kind of drama affecting the other employees. Detective Martinez was kind but honest when I filed the police report. Without direct threats of violence, there's not much we can do. Document everything, change your routines, consider a restraining order. What good is a restraining order against someone who doesn't care about laws? Sometimes it's all we have, he said sadly. Marcus was systematically erasing me from my own life, and the law couldn't stop him. You're experiencing systematic psychological abuse, Dr. Williams explained during our third session. The goal is to break down your sense of self until you believe you deserve the treatment. I'd started therapy when the panic attacks began, when I couldn't sleep or eat or function like a normal person. But how do I stop it? I asked. That's complicated. He's staying just within legal boundaries while maximizing psychological damage. 3 months of Marcus's campaign had destroyed what little stability I'd managed to rebuild. I'd lost 2 jobs, been evicted once, and was living in constant fear. Then David called. Elena. His voice was shaking. We need to talk. David, what's wrong? He broke into my house. While Lisa and I were at dinner, he destroyed everything. Photo albums, furniture, my books, everything. My heart sank. Oh God, David, I'm so sorry. That's not the worst part. David's voice cracked. He left a note about Lisa, her address, her schedule, photos of her walking her dog. He threatened her, Elena. The words hit me like a physical blow. Lisa, who'd done nothing wrong except fall in love with a good man. He said it was your fault, David, Dee continued, that you destroyed his relationship, so he's destroying mine. Elena, this man is dangerous, and you brought him into our lives. I know, I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't protect Lisa. She's terrified to leave her house. After David hung up, I sat in my tiny apartment, staring at the wall. For months, I'd been focused on my own survival, my own fear. But Marcus had escalated beyond me now. Innocent people were suffering because of my choices. Lisa didn't deserve to be terrorized. David, despite everything I'd done to him, didn't deserve to have his home violated. For the first time since this nightmare began, I felt something stronger than fear. I felt responsibility. Dr. Williams, I said during our next session, I need to stop running. I need to fight back. That could be dangerous, Elena. More dangerous than letting him continue? He's not going to stop. Not until someone stops him. I was done being Marcus's victim. It was time to become his worst mistake. I spent days digging through public records, court filings, and newspaper archives. What I found made my blood run cold. Patricia Moyle from Denver, married 15 years before she met Marcus at a conference. Within 6 months, she'd left her husband and moved in with Marcus. Within a year, she'd lost her job, her home, and custody of her children. Her ex-husband's lawyer had received anonymous tips about drug use and infidelity, all fabricated but convincing enough to sway a judge. Jennifer Kim from Portland. Similar story, similar timeline. Marcus had systematically destroyed her life, then disappeared when she tried to fight back. Jennifer had attempted suicide. She survived, but barely. Maria Santos from San Diego. The pattern was identical, except Maria had simply vanished. No forwarding address, no contact with family, nothing. I found Carmen, Maria's sister, through a missing persons website she'd created. I knew something terrible happened to her, Carmen sobbed over the phone. Maria would never abandon her fam. Illy like this. Never. What was she like before she disappeared? Angry, determined. She'd started collecting evidence against him, talking to other women he'd hurt. She said she was going to the police, going to make sure he couldn't do this to anyone else. My heart sank. When was the last time you heard from her? 2 years ago. She called to say she had proof that she was meeting with a detective the next day. That was it. Carmen had been searching ever since, trying to find other victims, trying to build a case. I have files on at least 5 women, she said. All married, all vulnerable, all destroyed by the same man. We agreed to meet Detective Martinez together. When I laid out Marcus's pattern of abuse, his systematic destruction of women's lives, Martinez's expression grew grim. We've been watching him for months, he admitted. But he's careful, always stays just within legal boundaries. What if we could get him to confess? I asked. What if I wore a wire? Martinez shook his head. Too dangerous. If he suspected... He already destroyed my life, I interrupted. What's left for him to take? But if I can get him talking about the others, about Maria... It's incredibly risky, Carmen said. But it might be the only way to stop him. I thought about Lisa, terrified to walk her dog. About Patricia and Jennifer, whose lives were still in ruins. I have to try. My hands shook as I adjusted the wire Detective Martinez had taped to my chest. The plan was simple. Get Marcus talking, capture his confessions, and pray he didn't realize what was happening. I'll be right outside, Martinez promised. If things go bad, just say the word butterfly, and we'll move in. The bar looked exactly the same as it had 8 months ago when this nightmare began. Marcus was waiting in a corner booth, looking thinner and more desperate, but still dangerous. I knew you'd come back, he said as I sat down. You're nothing without me, Elena. I proved that, didn't I? I forced myself to nod. You were right about everything. Of course I was. He signaled the bartender. I told you that leaving me was a mistake. Look what happened. You lost everything. How did you do it? I asked, trying to sound defeated. How did you destroy my life so completely? His smile was predatory. Easy. A few phone calls to your boss, some creative stories about theft and drug use. People believe what they want to believe. And David's office? Same thing. I called pretending to be a private investigator, fed them information about your criminal activities. His coworkers started looking at him differently, wondering what kind of man stays married to a thief. The wire was capturing everything, but I needed more. You did this to other women too, didn't you? Marcus's eyes gleamed with pride. You think you're special? You're just another stupid housewife who thought she could trade up. Like Patricia, from Denver? Patricia was particularly satisfying. Took me 3 months to destroy her custody case. Her ex-husband's lawyer ate up every lie I fed him. And Jennifer from Portland? Jennifer almost didn't survive the lesson I taught her. Weak women usually don't. My stomach churned, but I pressed on. What about Maria Santos? Something shifted in Marcus's expression. Maria was different. She thought she was smarter than me. What happened to her? She threatened to go to the police, said she had evidence. He leaned closer, his voice dropping to a whisper. But accidents happen, you know. Sometimes people just disappear. What kind of accident? The kind where someone goes for a late-night drive in the mountains and their car goes over a cliff. The kind where the body's never found because I know exactly where to dispose of it. My blood turned to ice. He'd killed her. Suddenly, Marcus's expression changed. He'd spotted Detective Martinez entering the bar. "You stupid bitch," he snarled, lunging toward me. But the police were already moving. "The defendant will rise for sentencing." I watched from the gallery as Marcus stood, his hands shackled, no longer the charming predator who'd destroyed so many lives. 6 months of testimony had revealed the full scope of his crimes, not just the harassment and stalking, but Maria's murder. "Marcus Rodriguez, you have been found guilty of first-degree murder, stalking, harassment, and conspiracy. I hereby sentence you to life in prison without the possibility of parole." Carmen sobbed next to me as they led him away. Marcus looked back once, his eyes finding mine across the courtroom. There was still hatred there, but also something else. Defeat. "It's over," I whispered. The trial had been brutal. I'd testified about everything, the affair, the manipulation, the systematic destruction of my life. It was humiliating, but also cathartic. For the first time, I'd told the complete truth. Patricia and Jennifer had flown in to testify about their experiences. We'd hugged in the courthouse hallway, survivors bonded by shared trauma. "Thank you," Patricia had whispered. "I never thought I'd see justice." 3 days after the sentencing, my phone rang. "Elena? It's David." My heart stopped. We hadn't spoken since that terrible night when Marcus had threatened Lisa. "David, how are you?" "Better. We're all better now that he's locked up." He paused. "I wanted to thank you." "Thank me?" "What you did was brave. Wearing that wire, getting him to confess, it was dangerous. You could have been killed." "I had to stop him. What I did brought him into your life, into Lisa's life." "Elena," David's voice was gentle, like the man I'd once loved. "You made mistakes. We all make mistakes, but you also stopped a killer. That matters." I started crying, months of guilt and fear finally releasing. "I can't undo what I did to us," I said. "No, you can't, but you can choose who you become next." 6 months later, I received a wedding invitation. David was marrying Lisa, and despite everything, I was genuinely happy for them. I didn't attend, but I sent a card wishing them well. Dr. Williams had been right. Redemption wasn't about returning to who I was before. It was about becoming someone better. I'd found work at a domestic violence shelter, sharing my story with other women trapped by dangerous men. It wasn't the glamorous marketing career I'd once had, but it mattered. "You saved my life," one client told me. "Hearing how you escaped, how you fought back, it gave me hope." Standing in my small apartment, looking out at the city, where I'd nearly lost everything, I realized something profound. I was finally free. Not from responsibility or consequences, but from the prison of my own bad choices. I was free to build something better,